All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Mr. Madrid from the Mr. Madrid Show. Today I have a guest that goes by the name of Ace, somebody who's actually from the neighborhood that I grew up in. Never really met person to person, but we were around some of the same circles. And when I first met this gentleman from a distance, like again, we never met in person. We were both pursuing music. And I always admired him at a distance because not only the music, but also the influence that he had and the crew that he had. They were all tightly knit. And just like following each other on social and seeing the journey that he's been on was super interesting. Just from being a rapper, somebody that was around the same neighborhood that I was, going into construction, and now most recently he's on a new business venture out in a different country. I'll let him elaborate on that. And then most importantly, out of everything, something that really resonates with me is just seeing the father that he is and the husband that he is from what I gather from social media. So that is my why as to why he's on the show today. Very inspiring, and
Oh
like
man.
I love to give people their flowers. So Ace, welcome to the show. How's
Yes,
everything going,
sir.
man?
Nah, man, everything's going good, man. I appreciate you reaching out and doing the same, giving you your flowers. I love your platform, love what you're doing. You're working hard and you're a family man just like me. So I definitely relate to a lot what you're doing. So kudos to you and happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So something that I generally ask all my guests, I know I gave a little taste of what you're all about, but just the people that aren't aware of you, like who you are and stuff like that, who is Ace?
It's a funny question to ask, right? Try to boil down everything you have into a little couple minutes. Yeah, man, I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm a young hustler from uptown Manhattan. I'm a family man. I'm somebody who values, that family unit, being a good person. And of course, you evolve. When I was younger, growing up in New York, you kind of lose yourself, or you're trying to find yourself. So yeah, I mean, I'm a lot of things, but definitely one thing that I am is a dreamer. I'm a
Mm.
hustler. I'm out here not scared of hard work. So that's something that I like to see myself as.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback on the hard work portion. Like when I was trying to get him on the pod, we were trying to see what was going to work best. But this man was on the move. Like it wasn't like he was just hanging out somewhere. And on social, he posts pictures of him out in Dominican Republic, just chilling, like living the life. But then he also posts things of him actually on the move, or like if I hit him up,
Don't believe everything you see on social media, man.
yeah, like he's always on the move. Like we'll touch base every now and then, and it's always there's always forward movement, which is pretty dope. But so starting off with your journey early on, right? Like I told people, I had known of you early on because of music. I was pursuing music, and we were kind of going to the same events and just seeing your journey. And I know you have affiliation with Dubwork, who I had on the episode, one of my episodes before, who's a dope artist, and I've seen that you guys have collaborated on music too. But take us through that journey, Uptown New York City. Who was Ace? Like as you transition to these different seasons in your life, how were you back then? Like what was the start of your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being blessed to grow up in New York City exposes you to a lot, So just being young, I wasn't always confident. I wasn't always who I am now. So being there, I was blessed to be around people that really embraced me. That's like family. We played sports. We went to George Washington High School, and that's something that really solidified what IOD was and is to this day. Is like just brothers helping each other throughout life, and that's really what made me. New York made me. It made us. It made us a family. It made us close. And of course, from what you see on TV and things like that, New York is no walk in the park. So you got
Yeah,
to be tough to kind of, persevere and be strong enough to get through it. And it's a blessing to have people in your corner like Dubwork or Lenny, people that helped me with the videos very early on. Like you said, when we were doing music, that's after the reason I had such a lot for my family and friends is that, um, they've been there from the beginning, right?
hmm
Since we weren't doing music, since we weren't even doing sports, we were playing, football in the middle of the street with cars passing by, playing manhunt, running behind cars, doing little things before we was in the streets running from cops. We was just playing around
mm,
and growing up, learning together. So when we transition to doing the music, it's just it all clicked together. Well, my brother Fred Focus, a very talented director, would just shoot videos for free for me.
mm,
Crump as well, William Crump. And everybody that I'm mentioning has moved on to do amazing things. Everybody from the block, like everybody that we grew up would come to the shows, take time out of their day. And I appreciate that so much, you feel me? Because they didn't have to. So that's something that really made what IOD was, right? Because it was more than
yeah,
just people going to see an artist. It was going to see family up there,
yeah,
chasing a
yeah.
dream. trying to make it out of the conditions they were in. So yeah, brother, it's that's the origination of everything. Washington Heights, a young Dominican boy growing up. My mother came from DR, didn't have running water, electricity till she was like a teenager. And being able to kind of make it and grind and hustle in New York City, not even speaking the language, is just, there's no way I could fail coming from that.
Yeah.
So that's
It
pretty
was
much
only
the
up.
origin story, coming from the heart of the city, the Big Apple.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And talking, so a couple things, right? Coming from the brotherhood that you had, because I witnessed it, right? This used to be insane. Like if there was a performance somewhere, right, uptown, downtown, wherever it was, I think if we said 20 was too little, it was a bunch of you guys, and they would all like go to the front when they were performing. Everybody there knew the lyrics to what you guys were performing, and for me, there's not a drip of hate in me. Like there was nothing that you could hate on from that, because you like, in the hood is like you being real, you supporting your mans in them. But like on a more grown level, like the level of support that was there, the camaraderie, and like them pouring into the artists that were on stage that were their friend, like that was always, it was always admirable for me, because it was always something that I yearned for, like in having a support system. I was always dolo in the things that I did and even the moves I made. So it was just so dope to see like everybody moving together, right? And it's almost like everybody knew their position and things like that. And just to see that you had people within your circle that were also had different things going on. Like Fred Focus, I know from, I think I seen a couple like videos that he may have directed or shot for like Dave East, who's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, he's doing big
Um,
things. He's doing things for Nike right now. He's doing
yeah, it's
big
super dope.
publications. He's the real deal.
Yeah, and I think having that type where like not only the support system, but everybody has a role to play, or everybody's on their own journey, is just super dope to see, and how you've kept your movement alive. And I do want to touch on IOD. Like I know you said it's a brotherhood. Does that stand for something? Like how did that originate? Like the idea, because you've taken IOD from maybe 20 years ago and it's still pumping till now. Like you see, you've kept that movement alive.
Honestly, to touch base on something that you said earlier as well, being at these spaces dolo or by yourself and being able to get on stage and perform your art, much respect to you, bro, because it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
It's you putting yourself out there. You don't know what kind of reception you're gonna get. So I've been in those situations myself. So definitely give you flowers again for that. Touching base on IOD, like I said, it started from football. Honestly, I can't emphasize what sports does to the youth. Is such an important aspect of life, to be
Mm,
disciplined, to be able to work hard, to persevere, to be able to withstand, struggles in your life. And I was blessed to have a great role model. His name is Anthony Thompson, Coach Coco. He's a really, really stand up dude and helped us, a whole generation of young dudes from Uptown Manhattan, graduate, go to
mm,
school, drive us over there to different colleges, and like kind of showcase us to have the potential to have a better life. And he has a huge heart. Definitely want to shout out Coach Coco. And that's the starting of everything. Those days of running sprints and sweating, and you looking over at your brother and they going through the same hardship. So you feeding off of that to kind of be able to finish. It's fourth down, fourth quarter, or the plays on you. Are you gonna be able to come through and catch that game winning touchdown? Which I did. You feel
mm,
me? So all that is a lot of is it makes you who you are. So coming from there after high school, we had a great career. We went to college. Me and my brother, Raymond Vargas, we call him Shorty or Slasher, just nicknames. We were just finding ourselves and being able to stand out. Coming from New York, we went to Connecticut. We went to Buffalo. That's one of the things that we decided that was gonna make us stand out. Like we have to be over the top, over aggressive, over disciplined. Work, like live, breathe, everything that you want to do to accomplish. You go above and beyond, and that's what coming from the streets. OD is overdoing it.
mm,
So it's IOD. It's a way to it's kind of like the way you live your life. It's a lifestyle. Growing up, changing it from the streets and the sayings that we're so familiar with, using it in business.
mm.
We used it as integrity, objectivity, and discipline.
I
So
love
we
that.
just restructured it to kind of be focused on the next phase of our life, to be focused on professional endeavors and not just music or sports. But like I meant, we spoke a little bit about earlier, my brother's a CPA, and kind of keeping that same mentality of working hard, being responsible, having integrity, because my brother's CPA, you're working with financial documents and things like that. So transitioning IOD from just a brotherhood of guys coming from sports, coming from New York City, we transitioned that into the business world, where now we're a developer, we have multiple properties, building out in the Dominican Republic, keeping the same mentality from New York.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
being a young guy just trying to work hard and make it.
It's the flipping business. Like, yeah, and I think that's something you said. Like, you don't, growing up in New York City, we've seen a lot, and it's like the hustle doesn't stop. You got to constantly be innovating and creating different ideas just to level
Absolutely.
up and keep moving the needle forward. That's pretty dope, man. I really like the transition, and I think that's what. And I never, just to be clear, like I'm never putting down my hometown. I live and breathe Washington Heights. Like it made me who I am. The hustle, the grunginess, all the bad, the good, the ugly. But coming where we come from, I feel like there's a limited amount of success stories that we hear, right? Because like growing up, and I was talking to you before, like we see different things, and it's a lot of negativity, if you will. And the example that I gave is like we grew up around hustlers. I remember seeing people pull up in like the Mercedes coupe. This is when
Mhm.
the back windows started coming down on the two-door Mercedes, and it was just life, right? Like
Yeah.
and then you saw Jay-Z in that same type of car. But a lot of hustlers, they don't know how to transition on to the next thing. Or not that they don't know, if it's like it's just they're doing so well that they just stick to that. And it's just dope to see that you can evolve from something, like using anything. And it doesn't have to be just hustling. It could be you owning a bodega or whatever. Just using the platforms that you're given at that moment, not to just stay stagnant, but to use it as a stepping stone onto the next thing. And it's dope to see your transition, because you went from hip hop, and then you went on to construction. Talk a little bit about that transition from going from music, and then in the mix of that, right? The family life, you became a father, right? Were you there before or after? And then that moved you to the next step. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, at that time when we first decided, as a group to really just pursue music, because it wasn't just me, it was a bunch of us, me, Slasher, Lenny. And Lenny was doing it for many years before and had a big buzz and kind of always motivated us to pursue it, because we were so close. It just only made sense. It's something that it was special. It was special because, like you said, we had a whole unit behind us, a whole
Hmm.
movement behind us that really helped us get to where we were. We had a nice little buzz. I'm not going to overplay it, a lot of people supported us, but growing up, it's a very expensive habit. It's a
Oh yeah.
it's expensive endeavor to kind of keep pushing music because it's not free. So you got to pay for studio. I was always the type that like you did. Like I made my own studio in my
Hmm.
house. I bought the equipment. I learned how to edit. I learned how
Yeah.
to, engineer and all this. And you can only go so far because you need a little bit of a machine behind you. You need to be
Yeah.
able to pump money into promotion. You got to be at these shows and politic and there's hella payola. There's so much money you got to pay to even be heard.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like things in your way, and the decision to go for it is like that's just stems of who we are. We're from the city. We're from a whole generation of dreamers that trying to make it. So making that decision was like, yo, fuck it, let's try it, man. Let's try to do the music. We talented. We love it. It's not like we don't. So it only made sense to go forward, and then we had the support behind it. As we were going through it, life happens. I had my first child, which was my son Nathan Ace, and you start valuing different things, touching base a little bit earlier, growing up in the hood or growing up in Washington Heights, like you said, you need positive role models. You need people to
Hmm.
kind of show you there's other ways you could be successful. And I always say now, looking back, like a lot of us were brainwashed. Like being successful was flipping a few bricks. So being successful was finding a quick way to get money. There's a lot of ways that you can be successful. Success looks different for a lot of different people as well. You could
Yeah.
work a 9 to 5 and be happy and have a family that loves
Yep.
you. That's success. You don't need to be rich and be a millionaire to be successful. So when I had my son, it just made sense to spend more time with him. I was still trying, I was going to shows. We had success in a few different avenues, but it became too expensive. And that's what opened up my mind because I'm a creative. So just learning different skills, that's what definitely, like, I don't know if they changed it to ADHD. I'm like, I'm super hypersensitive in
I'm all
learning
of those.
skills. I love learning skills. Like I learned that I love learning skills. So I learned, like I said, I learned how to engineer, record myself. I learned how to do videos. I learned how to edit the videos. I learned how to, moving into the construction. My brother was a catalyst of everything. He
Yeah.
jumped head first and bought a condo in the Bronx. Then he bought, thankfully, because he was working for years while I was trying to make it and doing school and all that. He was working since he was 14.
Mm.
So he was able to save up enough money, with some family help, buy a few properties, and that's where my first experience happened. Like we bought a brownstone in the Bronx in Gilbert Place. That's Hunts Point.
Yeah.
That's a dope block. You feel me? That's something that, you go see it and you're like, oh shit, did I make a mistake? But that's one of the biggest blessings that we ever had. because from that experience, I learned almost, that's the first step to learning plumbing, electrical, carpentry, roofing, all these things that really helped me to get where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So just that transition, it was natural because I'm a creative and I love hoarding skills. I love learning skills. I
Yeah.
love learning. And it's something that really helped me. It was easy to transition from music, especially once I had my son, appreciating different parts of life. I was like, let me just try this. And then I enjoyed it. I enjoy being an artist, and construction is a form of art for me. And so
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
seeing something in your mind, you envision it, then you make it a reality, bro, that shit is fire. It's awesome
Yeah.
to me. You
It
feel
is.
me?
It
So
is, man. It is to have
yeah, that's the journey
that
there.
touch. Yeah, yeah. And so being a father, like, and then with the music, so was it a point in time where you were like, all right, I need to like jump on something and take it as far as I could take it? Was that the situation when like, cause I know we were talking offline. That's kind of what happened with me when I was trying to pursue music. My wife got pregnant and I was just like, yeah, that's it. But the thing about me as a kid, I always knew what I wanted. Since I was a little ass kid, I knew I wanted a family, I wanted a wife, I wanted kids, and I wanted a house. And I wanted to live in Florida. So like you said earlier, like there's people that work a 9 to 5 and they're happy with what they got going on. Like I'm not, and it's never coming from a place of like tooting my own. But I always check myself, right? And I also appreciate what I'm living in. In a sense, I'm living out my dream that I had when I was a little,
Right.
right? It was tough because I left something that I loved to go ahead and kind of like man up. Not saying that I wasn't a man during the transition of hip hop, but like, those responsibilities of having a kid, you can go either two ways. You can take it by the horns and run with it and do the best you can, or you can split, like we've seen time and time again in our neighborhood or in any hood for that matter. What part of that was it? The fact that you were still able to be creative within the construction world that led you to say, all right, like I'm gonna go ahead and stop with the music, still dabble in it here and there, and then take something else serious. Like how was that transition?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was painful. You feel me? I'm an artist. You chasing something. You put so many hours in. You put so much of your life into it, trying to be something, and then you know. And shout out my wife, man, because she supported me the whole way. It wasn't easy. We're young. We're like in our early 20s, having our first child. So
Yeah,
this is something that is not easy. And I had to leave her alone a bunch of times to be out and trying to, make a buzz and do this and be at shows. And she supported me, man. And I can't speak about how much that meant. And now as a man, seeing that shit is so unbelievable, you know?
yeah,
But you start valuing different things. When you appreciate that people love you, they want you to make it, you got to decide what makes the most sense and what do you value more, chasing a music dream, being outside, or, being there for your son. Cause they don't, like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my kids, right? They're small for a short period of time.
yeah,
And if you miss that, you're done. You missed it. Like you're not there. So it was easy for me to kind of realize that with the help of my wife.
mm,
And that made it easy. And of course, being creative is something that facilitated it because I could easily just use those creative skills and kind of, satisfy that need to be
yeah,
creative in the construction space or in anything, because I was doing clothing, I was doing so many things, artwork, and I was still doing videos. But I pulled away from the music and kind of just focused my skills in other aspects like construction. So it
So
wasn't too hard.
did you start like your own construction business out in Jersey? Because I know it was Jersey, right, that you moved off to. What did you
Yeah.
do after that?
After a while, we were able to buy a house and moved over to Jersey. Yeah, like I said, we've been an entrepreneur since the beginning. Since we've had a construction business, IOD construction, over 10 years
Mm,
operational in New York City, but we operate in New Jersey and New York. My brother's a CPA, so we have Square Tax as well. That we do bookkeeping, we do tax returns, we do financial planning, and that's over another 10 years of business. Had that mindset of, do it yourself. People are not that like people have this perception of like business or this or that. Yo, bro, they're not that much smarter than you. They might not even be smarter than you. Honestly, they might be dumber than you, but they had the balls to incorporate. They had the balls to trademark. They had the balls to go out and, have the courage to be like, take that step. And we've always, like I said, IOD, like since the beginning, we were going to do that. I incorporated IOD over 10 years and running, since the beginning, for over 10 years, since 2000 something, like I got to double check, but well over like close to 15 years now.
yeah, that's
So,
dope.
it was just a natural transition for us just because of what New York made us.
Yeah, and I love that, man. I love even the message of saying like, because yeah, I see it all the time. I have this conversation with my sister where I'm like, yo, how is it that like people that come from other countries, immigrants, they barely know English and they have full blown businesses. Not just one, two, like full blown businesses. They're doing good. They figure out how to go from like getting to the money, buying property, all these things. So there's no limit to what you can do. I think that the main thing is you putting a
No
limit
limit.
on your belief of yourself. And that's why I'm big on that whole saying, like, fuck with yourself heavy. You got to champion yourself and motivate yourself. Like a lot of it is like putting, it's just learning as you go. That's the simplest way to put it. Like that fear of you fucking up is going to keep you from living your best life, whatever that is for every individual out there.
Yeah, man, failure is not an L, it's a lesson. You
Yeah.
learn from it. As long as you're learning from it, it's going to help you in the future. So I'm not scared to fail in
Yeah.
any position that I've been in. I've transitioned to so many different jobs and different spaces. I'm not scared to fail, man. I'm not scared to fail. It's going to happen in life. Like I just fucked up the word. You feel me?
Yeah. It's
Like it
all
doesn't
good.
matter. Be
Yeah.
yourself and try it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You fail, you right back to where you was at. At least you
Yeah.
know what
Yep.
was the outcome, and you learn from it. Make sure you learn from it. Don't make the same mistakes because then,
Yeah.
you're wasting time.
I love that, man. Like I do think that a lot of it has to do with just the doubt within yourself, the confidence level. Like that's why with my kids, like that's one thing that I keep enforcing is just like if you're gonna do something, do it because you want to do it, and you stop doing it when that's it. Like you don't want to do it. Like the way I compare it is like my mom used to tell me when I was little. She's like, oh, so and so got in trouble with this because he was doing what his friends were doing. And she would always tell me, like, if you're gonna get in trouble or caught for something, make sure you're doing it by yourself. This is tu cosa solo, wrong or right. This is advice from my mom. And like that's kind of the advice I give my kid on a more cleaner level where I'm like, whatever you do, just make sure you're doing it because you want to do it
Right.
and do the best that you can at that. Period. Like a lot of times, like, the whole failing portion of any process, any journey, it doesn't, I think from the things that I've been through, I think the journey is the best part of the whole thing. Cause that's what you can talk shit about, right? When you're with your boys and stuff like, yo, if you would have seen everything I went through when I got to so and so and where I'm at now, that's the fun in the story. Like that's where the book gets most interesting.
Yo, bro, a what if will drive you crazier than just knowing that you didn't
Yeah.
succeed. You know what I mean? Like, what if, damn, I could have done the music. What if I really pursued it? Like,
Yeah.
I never have to ask that question because I
Yeah.
know. You
Yeah. You
feel me?
did
I
it.
made the leap. And
Yeah.
I never have to ask, damn, what if I started a business to know? I did it. And
Yeah.
thankfully here we are now. So it's always, I always promote that, man. Go bet on yourself. Just like you
Yeah,
said,
fuck
bet
that.
on
Yeah,
yourself and go for it.
100%. Yeah, like you, I don't know when in time you moved out to DR, but that's a whole nother, almost like a world. Like you moved to a whole nother country. You had to have belief in yourself to make a move like that. I never want to take away from anybody's journey, whether you had something set up back home or not, you're still moving into like, it's almost like starting over somewhere else. So that's the beginning of another chapter, another season in your life that's still, there's a lot there, right? Same thing with when I transitioned from New York City to Florida. All I knew was New York. Like I used to have a rent control department by the grace of God that my mom passed on to me.
Yeah, love. That's nice.
And like I didn't really have to go nowhere. And that's the mentality that you have because, my mom did the best she could. And then we have a rent control department in Washington Heights, right? Well, I used to live on 179th Street, right? GWB was. And if I was paying $1,000, that was a lot a month for a 3-bedroom apartment. So why would you leave? But the flip side of that is I'm walking out my door, there's syringes on the sill. I got pictures of this stuff. There's people
Yeah.
shooting up. And you know, like that type of lifestyle I didn't want for my kids. So you have to level up, take a leap of faith to go and chase something different. For you, so you had that construction business, right, in Jersey. What prompted you to take that leap of faith to go from saying, I'm in Jersey, flat crib. He has videos online with the staircase. Always blew me away. The staircase is just fly, bro. I have
Appreciate you.
ADHD too,
Thank
but
you.
there's certain things that like it's like squirrel and it stays right there. But what prompted you to go from leaving what anybody else from the outside looking in, like a beautiful setup, to saying, yo, like I'm gonna pick up and bounce with my family to DR?
Yeah, I mean, funny story about that whole process was another big shout out to my wife because I was always on some like, I'm a city guy. Like, I'm a city boy. I'm never going anywhere. I'm from New
Yeah,
York. I'm gonna make it in New York obligado. Like, I gotta do it. You feel me? Like,
yeah,
that's where I'm from. I gotta make it here, whatever, right? And then my wife obviously sees the same things as you see. Like, you go outside, what do you see? You see, we lived on 177 and Fort Wash, and that's, a straight like highway for the drug addicts to go shoot. So every day
Mhm.
you bump into them, you see syringes, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So she really pushed me to jump into and buy a house in Jersey. And being who I am, and a lot of people call me crazy during this whole time, we gut renovated that entire home. That
Mm.
home was built like in 1930 something. It was kind of, the organization was kind of messed up. Speaking on the staircase that you mentioned earlier, and I appreciate you saying that. I redesigned the whole crib, like everything inside, removed all the walls, brand new plumbing, brand new electrical, brand new walls, everything, redesigned everything, removed every single wall, put a huge beam in the middle. And that whole process was like we have a construction team, but it's a small business. You feel me? So
Yeah.
I had a small crew. I would drive to Home Depot, stop by the workers, like, yo, who knows how to do carpentry? Who knows how to do
Mm.
this? And I had my plumber and my electricals. You don't want to pick up
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
for that. You want to make sure you get your licensed plumber, licensed electrician for the important stuff. Stuff inside, demolition, sheetrock, framing, all this stuff. And of course, you got your architects. It was a huge endeavor. A lot of people told me, yo, what? You crazy? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You don't have to, just be happy, be content, but that's not who I am. You got to push it to the limit. We were able to go through it. And funny enough, like, it was a lot of nights that I was there by myself, cold. A lot of times I would ask for help from people, from family, and nobody was there. So
Yeah.
it goes to show that you got to just put your head down. If you have a dream, you don't need other people there to kind of reinforce that. If
Yeah,
you,
to give you
if
that
you know
validation.
in your heart of hearts that this is the golden path, this is where you got to go, you just got to put your head down, excuse me, and grind and work hard. And my wife would work a 9 to 5, drive the car to Jersey where I'm at, and fucking help me in the night for a few hours. Like, she was putting bags of fucking demolition on her back to the pile and to the container, and taking care of the kid. And we had Scarlett around that time. So yeah, bro, it was such a huge endeavor. It was something that made us stronger. And that was the whole story of kind of like relocating into this beautiful home that we have today. So I can't be more grateful for her help and her belief in me, because a lot of people told me I was crazy. A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people say, yo, why? Like, you got the house. Like, why are you doing all of this? But that, again, made me take the steps to move to DR. Because
Mm.
taking those risks was something that, as time went on, being in a home that we were super happy with, there's a lot of things that affect your mental health. There's a lot of things happening in the country that is, that the pricing of everything is so expensive. The culture is just different. So we wanted something a little bit different for our children. And where we're at now in DR, it kind of provides that for them, a better quality of life. And we moved to Punta Cana with the mindset that we're not just leaving the States, right? Like, we come back and forth. We spend our summers in the city, and we spend New Year's with family. We come back. So we still have our home in Jersey. And then
Yeah.
we transition and spend most of the school year. When it gets, to be honest, I'm done with the cold too. Like, I have 30 plus years of winters.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to fuck with the cold, bro. I don't want to be 8 months locked inside. Like, you just
Yeah.
inside.
Like a bear
And
hibernating.
yeah, bro, you work and you go home. And then during this time, COVID hit. So with COVID, God rest his soul, my cousin, Ariel Angel Casas, he passed. He has a crazy story himself. He was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer
Mm.
with his lymph nodes. They spread all over his body. He beat the cancer, only to fall, in my opinion, to COVID. He ended up having a stroke or something, a blood clot, I think it was. And all these things just played a huge part, seeing him fight through that. And then all of a sudden, like, this tragedy happens. He's younger than me, and
Yeah.
he was a bodybuilder. He was such a motivating, like, figure in my life. And for that to happen, everything else happening, COVID, the lockdowns, excuse me, really just like cemented it for us. And my wife was like, yo, let's fucking do it. And people were calling us crazy then. Like, yo, what you doing? You have a big house, you're fine, everything looks nice, and we bet on ourselves again. We're like, yo, man, what's the worst that could happen? You fail, you come back to point A, and you're right back to square one.
And it's not
So
like you going back
yeah,
to like the hood. You still have a foundation that you've built in Jersey. So it's just like,
God bless. Yes,
you
that
know what I'm
is
saying?
true.
Like that's the fly shit about it. It's like, I'm gonna go try something else and see what happens. And if it doesn't, I'm still coming back to my own shit. So that's super dope. And shout out to the wife, man, because I'm hearing a lot of good things about your wife and the way she helped motivate you, supported you, how she was like a rock, one of the pillars to everything. And it's similar. Like, that resonates with me because it's the same thing with my wife, where she's the one that got me out of Washington Heights.
Nice.
Because she used to say, "Look, I'm never gonna get you out of here. Cause there's like, dog, like you have the 8 train, you have Jersey, everybody, I know Floridita steak sandwiches. Come on, like
¿Tú me
all the,
entiendes?
you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's very difficult. My mom lives on 176 and Four
And
Wash.
family, that's
Like,
a huge one. You know, leaving
yeah,
family is like
yep.
that's super
So
tough.
it was super tough. And like, it became where we moved to Jersey. I was living in Hackensack, renting an apartment out there in a community. And that became base. Like I used to host Thanksgiving, all these different things. And I just like, we ended up back in the Heights for like 6 or 7 months, and then we bounced to Florida. But it was the wife constantly like pushing the whole idea of moving to Florida, and then I never thought they were gonna give me a house. I've said this in a different episode, and then we got a house, and then se le metió la idea that she wanted to move closer to family out here in Kissimmee and buy a bigger house. And I'm like, dude, they barely gave us like
Hey,
that
dude.
belief because like I as much as like people think like, oh, Anthony un niño bueno, like he's a good like no, but that mental mind fuck that we put ourselves through where you feel like you can't do something or you have people around you like my mom, like the people that you had around you were like, why would you leave that? Like you haven't made three
Mhm.
bedroom apartment in New York no, and I'm not happy here. Like, and my dream was to live in Florida. But just the whole point of what I'm saying, I know I went on a tangent, is like the wives play like when you have a good wife, right? And hopefully everybody out there, you have beautiful, good wives that support you. That motivation that you get and that reassurance, right? Because a lot of times, like I tell people when I have conversations with friends and family, I'm like, when your relationship with a girl, woman, whatever you want to call it, wife, she has to allow you to be a man. And people are like, oh, I'm a man, regardless. That's not what I'm saying. She has to allow you to lead, but also know that sometimes you may crumble up into like a ball and you need that motivation and for her to pick you back up and like like dust you off and say, all right, you got this. And that's very important, bro. And I think it's super dope that you're blessed enough to have somebody who motivates you and also thinks outside the box. And no disrespect, but this is what I say about mine. That's just as crazy as I am, or maybe just as crazy as you, or like you crazy together, you go out and you pursue these journeys, which
Yeah,
is
that's
amazing.
gangster in of itself. You feel me? Being able to kind of have that support where some people might not see your vision or
Yeah.
see where you might be headed, and then they have your back, because they just as crazy as we are,
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
definitely a blessing.
I
Huge,
love it,
huge
man.
blessing.
I love it. So moving to Punta Cana, like, did ultimately like business take you out there, or was it just the pursuit of a better life, or a little bit of both?
It's like I like to say the universe talks to you if you listen. You know what I mean? Like there were so many things that happened during that time, from my cousin passing, from us, like we visit every year. Every year since I've been a baby, I've been coming to DR. So during this time, her family had purchased an apartment and we were interested in just, expanding our portfolio and buying different properties. So we would visit and we just felt at home. This is the closest you could get to the United States over here in
Hmm.
Dominican Republic is
Yeah,
Punta Cana. A lot of places are nice, but they don't have the infrastructure that Punta Cana has. So we felt comfortable. That's one. The light doesn't go out like that. Modern everything. I post everything on social media. The schools are really great. They focus on family. The schools is another big, gave us confidence, such confidence to like that this is a good move. They have yoga classes, mental health help. They have, Tidal, which is like coding classes, and just the emphasis of this because
mm,
some schools don't have that,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
in
pretty
the
awesome.
States. So going through this whole process with all these things happening one by one, it just, gave my wife the confidence to be like, yo, let's do it. And I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I'm down. Are you down? She's with it. All right, cool. Now the only other tangent was, or the thing that we had no control over was our kids. Because
Yeah,
if our kids come over and they just hate it, that's something you can't plan for. It's really tough to get through that. And shout out to my kids, man. They came through, came to the school, adjusted to a majority speaking Spanish speaking classes, subject matter. Everything was like mostly in Spanish, even though it's a bilingual school.
yeah,
And they adapted so good. They made friends. They're doing good in their classes. They enjoy it. And they made the transition so easy. So all these pieces fell into place. We purchased our apartment. Then we moved to another location. We canvassed so many residences over here. And we do a lot of homework. So it's not just coming on a feeling, right? You have that feeling, but then you got to back it up. You got to make
yeah.
sure you're
You
doing a
gotta do
smart
your
move.
research.
So months and months of research, conversations, speaking with people, architects, family that lives here, and everything just lined up. And I swear, man, it's like God was telling us this is the right move, and God willing, this is it worked out to be so.
So now I'm gonna be nosy. I'm naturally curious, and not that you have to give your figures. So like, let's say a person who was like, "Fuck it, Ace just inspired me. I'm gonna start looking at a spot in Punta Cana. I could work remote. What do you like if you needed a two-bedroom apartment or something like that, or to buy one? What are you looking at for as far as like the dollar amount?
There's so much information and opportunity here. I say Punta Cana right now is like Miami in the 80s. Like this shit is
Mm,
is blowing up uh, on the high. This is one main highway that goes through like the whole curve of Punta Cana, and there's so many residences being built around it. The majority and the bulk of what's being built is like 1, 2 bedroom condos. So I would like something a little bit bigger, but right now numbers wise, it varies over a few depending like amenities, right? So
yeah,
if you want direct beach access, you jumping up. There's a few prime residences out here, like the Punta Cana Village, or Cap Cana or Vista Cana. These
mm.
names are where you're going to be paying for a 1, 2 bedroom, 150 and up,
When you say
easily.
150, that's 150 US dollars.
Correct. Yeah, this is not like El Campo where you're buying an apartment for 50 bands and you think it, no,
Yeah,
this is the market is different here. This is made for higher earners, for expats, for people from other countries that want to live a certain lifestyle and be around
okay.
certain things. So it's definitely not cheap. And depending what you want, because you can live a little further away from the beach and away from the main areas, and you can find an apartment for 60,000, 70,000, eighty
That's
thousand
dope.
because you could build your own, and that's something I might do in the future, build my own residence. You could buy your own solar, build out buildings and sell every apartment. My
Yeah,
strategy is a little bit different that we'll touch on in a little bit. I'm building some villas, uh, that
the
has
to
direct
the
beach access and all that.
to the
But
viewers.
this price range,
Did
yeah.
you hear what he just? The man said he's building villas. Yo, Ace, you brush past that like it's no big deal, bro. Like I'm about to go
Yeah.
build a little bar for my garage. You talking about building villas? He said it the same way I'm telling people this weekend. What are you doing in Madrid? I'm like, I'm gonna build a little bar for my garage. He said, I'm building some villas. No big deal.
No,
That's some
it is
fly shit I've
crazy.
heard like thus far, bro. That's dope, man.
Appreciate you, man.
It's super interesting because like I remember I used to work at a cell phone store back in the day. This is like 2010, 2010, 2012. I had a couple come in and they're retiring to Costa Rica, and like the cost of living out there is cheap and their retirement goes so much further. So that's always been in the back of my head, and like me and my wife always have the convo like, do you think this is it for us? Like, are we gonna stay in Florida? And I'm always thinking about the dollar. Like, I'm a numbers guy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and this is where it gets a little scary. Like the fact that you talk about having multiple properties, like you've been setting yourself up for that point in your life where you say, yeah, that's it, I'm not working anymore. But I think about that, and that's why I asked you, because I'm like, damn, is Punta Cana in the work in the plans for us in the future? And even when you
Hopefully, man,
mentioned the
we
villas
need
and all that,
neighbors, man. We need good people out here too.
yeah, man. And that's the goal ultimately, to live good and provide a awesome life for your wife and kids. And just to
Yeah.
hear like that they adapted so quickly and they're doing great. That's a dope story, man. And I like what you're even saying, like to get an oceanfront property or an apartment for $150. That's still not bad. Like if you figure out here in Florida, you're paying a million plus or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, no. So yeah, I'm over here. A lot of people who are naturally born here and people from back home. This is not the cheapest that you could get. If you go further out in DR, you'll find much cheaper places. Punta Cana is more expensive than that, but your dollar goes way further here
Yeah,
than the States. You go out to eat, you're not spending $150 on dinner. Over there, I easily spend over $100 if all four of us are eating on fast food. You go to Five Guys, that shit is like $80, $90. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So over here, it's just your dollar goes way further. It could go
yeah,
further in other places, but I prefer this because of the amenities, things that we just mentioned. The light doesn't go out, much more secure
yeah.
and all that. So, it does stretch a lot further. So I definitely, that's one of the big reasons why we moved over here too.
The thing too, and then aside from that, like, I'm not Dominican. My whole family is from Chile, but because I was born and raised in Washington Heights, when I speak Spanish, I always jokingly saying, "I hope I don't offend nobody." I don't like, and it's with love. I say it. It's a joke. I love Dominicans. I love the culture. My wife is Dominican.
Yeah, our Spanish is different for sure.
It's just different, and
It is.
culture wise too. I feel like it's always a party. It's always good vibes. Obviously, you got people that are different, but I've always loved and embraced the Dominican culture. I love going out to DR. The first time I went to Santo Domingo. First time I saw somebody with a gun out in public. And not to say that that's the case everywhere, but I'm just saying, like, because growing up, you hear that, like, oh, my dad has a gun, this, that, the next. And then, but you see the beauty, the fruits, the food. Like the best chicken I've had in my life was under a highway in the street. Yeah, I've
I
never
believe.
tasted chicken like that again. The best mango
Yeah.
also was in Dominican
Right from the
Republic, by
street,
La
you see like
like all these different
natural
things.
fruit growing right there. Like that's a big difference. Like they don't, you could, it's like farm to table
Yeah,
everywhere
yeah,
because it's just countryside. Everything, even Punta Cana, like this, all this is like, again, brainwashing. People here would rather eat American processed food instead of eating natural food. We come over here looking for the natural food. I don't want imported beef that's has pumped full of antibiotics and all of that. I want the farm that's right here.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? You look at the ingredients, the orange juice says orange juice, sugar, and water. That's it. Go look at Tropicana.
yeah. I got-
Look at the ingredients. It's crazy, bro. Like, there's bad stuff here too. So you got to just moderate how you live your life. But yeah, the living here is a lot more natural, especially if you're looking for that lifestyle, which it sounds
Yeah.
like you are. Yeah, man, this is definitely
Yeah,
highlights that from
that's
those sides.
beautiful, man. And like I was saying, in regards to like the culture too, like the times that I've been to Punta Cana 3 times, and it's beautiful, it's amazing, and just again like the culture, like so when people ask me like, or do you plan on going to Chile? I'm like, probably never. And then like I do like traveling, I don't like flying, but the travel portion, but just no me tira to go out there. Like if anything, as soon as anybody says anything, I'm like, I'm out to DR. Like I love DR. Feel like those are my people, the music, just everything, the beauty that's just out there is always something that calls me. Me and the wife are planning a trip of like 20, 30 of us family next summer to go to Punta Cana to go out for like a week or something like that. But I want my kids to see like this is you guys have Dominican blood. Like you guys gotta see how dope this is. The one thing I always regret is not really teaching them Spanish. My son is 8, my daughter's 12. They
You still
catch
got
on to
time.
little things. They do. Because I didn't learn English till I was 5 or 6. Um, but yeah, man, it's pretty dope. So moving along is now where you're at now. You're in Punta Cana. Your whole life is set up out there. You travel back and forth. You still have your property out in Jersey. Up next is I know you're currently working on the villas. Can you talk about that? Like how did you even get started with that? Because if you go onto his Instagram, this man bought like it looks like a forest and leveled it.
Yeah, so
That's what it
yeah,
feels like. Ace from the outside looking in. You bought a forest. Shit got leveled, and now you guys are getting ready to do something.
yeah, it feels the same way to me, man. It's still surreal, but we're able to kind of, again, thanks to my brother. I can't speak highly enough about him. He had a few clients from his CPA business that were doing really well from Airbnb and short-term rentals. So he's been like, pushing short-term rentals and just dropping that seed, like, in our minds over the years. And once we decided to make this huge move, my mind starts working. I'm looking for opportunities. I'm
Yeah,
from New
yeah,
York. We out here trying to get it. So I'm trying to figure out, connect the dots. And again, doing your research is so important. Make sure you're speaking with lawyers. Make sure you're speaking with people who are in the business right now. Making sure you're getting quality information. Online, there's something called AirDNA, which Lenny Dub work put me onto years ago. It gives you real statistics of how short-term rentals are doing here. So
mm,
again, the strategy right now is like short-term rentals. They stack excuse me, 1-2 bedroom condos. So a lot of builders out here are building stuff that's like really compact next to each other. They just want to sell the apartments out as much as they can and move on to the next project. So my strategy is being that we have the home in Jersey. We have, we were doing Airbnb for a while. The town kind of changed an ordinance, so we're doing that a little bit differently now. But we're able to see data that bigger spaces have a bigger return.
mm,
So, our house did really well. And then that just dropped the idea of doing the same thing in DR, doing the research, Air DNA, seeing the numbers, seeing where there's a gap in the marketplace really opened up my eyes. So I do what I enjoy speaking with anybody. I don't care who you are, an architect and a landowner, old experienced person who's been in real estate. You just keep dropping gems, keep learning. And after doing all the research, it just made sense. You're able to buy a piece of land that has the amenities, has beach access. We're located in White Sands in Punta Cana. Now, White Sands is an upcoming neighborhood, which is going to be similar to a Vista Cana, a Cocotal, a Punta Cana village with some time, because that's
mm,
our price point. We're not rich, by any stretch. So we had to get in where we fit in, and it's going to open up the opportunity for us. Being there, we have direct beach access, which is a huge thing that I wanted. They have a helipad coming in, so you could take private helicopter rides. They have a sports complex being built right now where you have paddleboard, tennis, basketball court. They're going to have a public pool. They have all these things being built now. The investments are being made and you could see it. Like you drive through and everything is being built. It's nice and modern and it just made sense. So me, my brother, my sister, which is another big, big pillar for us to even make this a reality, which I love her so much. They believed in me. Because after I did the research, I'm like pitching this to the family. Like, yo,
You made a business case
look
for
at
it.
this. Like, this makes sense. Like, tell me it doesn't come see it. Like, they take a trip, we walk, we do that. And then we were able to like take the leap of faith and we were able to buy the plot of land and we're going to build 4 luxury villas there. That's going to be able to accommodate more than, 10 to 15 people each villa. So then that way, if you do a big family trip, you could all be in one place together,
Yeah.
enjoy the, DR, move around and see different places, not just the resort, or you could go to the resort for a little bit and then also rent a
Or the
space where
villa.
you can kind of move around the island and not be confined. Because if
Yeah.
you want to go to different beaches, if you want to go to different attractions, that's a good like home base, So that's the plan, the strategy that we went with. God willing, we're making some traction. We just cleared the lot. We're dumping the sub layer there, and I'm documenting everything on my social media, Ace_IOD on TikTok, Instagram, and everything, and on YouTube. So, hopefully you follow the whole progress because it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
It's
no.
crazy to me still. It's still
So as
crazy.
soon as I see a thing come up, I'm like automatically, I want to see what's going on. I want to see how far
Appreciate
they
you.
are. So what is it looking like as far as like time? Like when do you guys feel like everything will come together and be done? Is it like a long, lengthy process or?
Process I've learned, I'm working with a good architect, an engineer here. It's just the funds. It's expensive. So we had the funds to purchase a lot. Excuse me. And so we had the funds to purchase a lot and start the beginning process. And we're going to go by phases. So right now we're working on the foundation. The foundation, we need a septic tank. We need a cisterna, which is, the water tank, and prepping everything subterranean. You feel me? Everything below the foundation. And then
Yeah.
we're going to start building up. So it's going to take some time, projected anywhere within a year.
Okay.
If we're able to get some funds sooner than that, with a few things that we got in the works, we should be able to do it sooner. But I'm not rushing. I want to make sure it's done right. And then, of course, it's about allocating the funds to make sure this thing gets done.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. That's exciting. I'm like, I already see myself going out there, be like, yo, I need a rental, bro, for a
You
week
got
or
it. You got
so.
the hookup price, my boy. You got the hookup price. You know
Um,
you're speaking to the right guy.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. That must be very like even for you that should be the next level of your dream because and it's dope to see the transition and that's kind of the way I wanted this episode to go is just showing the transition all the way from a young cat to family life, like hip hop, family life, construction in Jersey, ER, and how awesome the family is. And I watch the videos that you guys post when you're out at the beach and stuff like that, and I think it's so beautiful. And again, I admire the fact that you're a family man. That's what really gravitates to me watching your videos and seeing what you guys are talking. I even follow the wife when she's like reciting books and stuff like that, which is super dope, man.
Appreciate it.
And just seeing the journey is very, very exciting as an onlooker, like just from the outside looking in and seeing the progress and you touching base with the folks on social and letting them see like when you guys got that patch of land or whatever it is and then leveled it and how like for us the viewers we looked at that and that happened quick and I know for you it might be like you're there living and breathing it and it's like damn it's I want this to happen already.
Man, it's months and months of planning and conversations and meetings and lawyers because again, I can't emphasize that enough. Have a good lawyer. Make sure that you're doing business the right way when you're doing business in DR. You hear a lot of horror stories and, number one, get yourself a lawyer. Make sure you got a good lawyer. And then that way you can kind of sleep a little bit easier. And then everything else is you're doing your due diligence, you're doing your work. But once you start with that good foundation, you have yourself a good lawyer, then everything is a little bit easier. So it's still shocking to me to this day, honestly. So it's just a pleasure to be able to go through and have the support of my family.
Now, Ace, on a business note, right? Like, and not to get too much in your biz, but you mentioned funding and stuff like that. What does that look like? Let's say if somebody views this video here and they're like, yo, this man looks like he knows what he's talking about, lives it, breathes it, his boots on the ground type of thing. I want to see if I could invest with Ace and his family or his organization. Is that possible? Like, how does that look like if it is?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I often get that a lot. I don't ever want to present myself like one of these social media guys that's like, oh yeah, just give me your money and I'll invest it for like, I would much rather, if you're serious, a serious investor, make the effort. Like if I see you take a trip out here, then that's more of a motivating factor.
Mm.
I'll show you residences. We could talk about business, you know, and then something comes out of that, cool. But I'm not wasting my time and I'm not stealing from anybody. I don't need to steal. So that's why I don't promote it that way. Like, oh, invest with me
Yeah.
here, invest there, Like, there's a lot of that going around in social media, and you could get led the wrong way. And that's not how I carry myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of friends be like, yo, can I invest with you? I got this money and I'll just give it to you. Like, I don't even want that responsibility because at the
It's
end
a
of the
headache.
day,
Yeah.
it's a bet on myself and I don't want to bet with your money. I'll bet with my money, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll bet with my funds that I'm able to allocate. And so again, yeah, like I'm happy to see what opportunities come about investing together, especially with people that I trust and I know, but it's something where it has to be really reciprocated on the other side. Like, are you
Yeah.
serious about it? Cool, come and see it. So you can feel
Yeah.
comfortable. Come see the lands, come see the residences, come see the properties. Because Instagram and social media, they'll sell you a dream. You think you're
Yeah.
buying something, you think it's like, oh, perfect and beautiful. Then you get here and it's not what you thought it was, you know? So I would hate for that to happen to anybody, you know?
And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, and again, like, I mentioned the fact that this is our first time talking, and I think had you presented it the way you're saying, where you were like pitching the idea of investing, I don't think I would have asked any further because I'm always very, very careful with conversations that I have. So the
Yeah.
fact that you weren't presenting it like that, and you're like, I don't, I'm patient with what's going on and know the route that we're going in. I'm not asking for none of that. That's what intrigued me to even ask you because like you boots in the ground again, like you're somebody who, if there is an investor out there that does watch it and who wants to like do something serious, take a trip, like do things the right way. And it's
Yeah,
like, you're
that's
not
the only
even saying
way,
like,
the right way, bro.
I'm not asking you to do anything with me, right? Like I'm just telling
Exactly.
you like, this is what I'm doing. This is my lane. I'm staying in here. And if we end up doing business, then cool. But that's not what I'm pitching. That's not my
Exactly.
gag.
Yeah, I see a lot of horror stories, man. That's why I'm super careful with that. Even with people like family and people I love, like, bro, if you serious, you show me you serious, you know, and then
Yeah.
you could see what makes sense for you. And if that's something you want to pursue, cool. We could see if something makes sense. But yeah, I definitely, I would never lose a friendship over some money. Like, it's not worth it. Like, do your
Yeah, yeah.
thing. I'm
Not all
doing
money
me.
is good money. I live by
Not
that.
all money's good money. That's a
Yeah, I live
fact.
by that. And then just out of curiosity too, like how is like, let's say an American going out there getting a loan? Is that a difficult process? Like when
Yeah.
somebody goes out there, it's
So you can do it, like in some instances, especially if you're earning a lot of money over there, it could translate a little bit over here. But my suggestion right away, if you're even thinking about it, or even if you just come visit, open up a bank account, open up a credit card. You have to build some credit history here.
mm,
You're starting from brand new. So the sooner you do it, the better for you. And that's my advice right away. Like, even if you don't plan on moving here, it's always good to have options. So if you can't get a loan or financing in the States, you could potentially, after some time, oh yeah, he's had a credit card 5 years. He's always been good on his payments. He has a business registered. He has, boom, you might have some financing here. So it's just being able to have open up your options and have different things available to you, especially when you're investing. That's exactly what you want.
yeah, it's
So
beautiful.
that's my advice. Open up a
Yeah.
credit card right away. Open up a bank account.
And you're saying to do that in Dominican Republic, right?
Yes, because you're starting with a blank slate. If you have no history to open up a bank account, you have to have somebody vouch for you. So somebody
Mm,
here has to be like, yeah, I know them, write a letter, all this and that. You still got to give 3 months of bank statements from the States to the bank here. Let them know because they're really, really, really diligent on like money trafficking and drugs and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So they really, I have to go explain everything when I'm transferring funds. Anything over 10,000, you got to explain.
yeah.
So you got to explain it to the teller, and they know the plan, but you still have to go through the steps. Like you got
Got
to
you.
go everything. I'm building villas. I'm purchasing the land. This is a big purchase. Boom, 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 and you still have to like go through the motions.
Got you. Yeah, thank you for that info, man. Because like, just in having, I think I told you, like my brother-in-law's looking at something in Punta Cana, and like, one thing is, like you said, like being careful what you do. Because I think he was out there maybe like a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, and they have people keep calling, like, hey,
Hmm.
you could get something for 60, you get something for 100, and he's like super hyped, and I'm like, I think you should wait till I have somebody on my podcast who's out there, boots on the ground. And I said,
Yeah,
and I'll ask him some questions and like maybe you guys could link and at the very minimum, like if you could get some information, information is everything. Sometimes I think information is more valuable than money sometimes, because if you're smart and you're a hustler, that info will get you some paper
Yeah,
or save
absolutely.
you some paper.
Definitely. And everybody's a real estate agent out here. That's one thing you're gonna find out for sure. People work, un maletero, un tacita. They're like, yeah, do real estate too. Let me send you some listings. You feel me? Because there's
Yeah,
no real regulations. They're starting slowly that kind of change things around. So you got to be real careful. And yeah, and advice is always free. Like people got questions, I'm happy to answer questions. A lot of friends hit me up about it. But anything beyond that, you got to pay to play, baby. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Hey,
Because time
we
is
got
money.
families to feed, baby. Come on now.
But yeah, advice and friendship, I always, try to guide people the right way, and then they gotta put their effort in. They gotta,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
the time in.
I feel you. So yeah, so and the last thing, before we wrap up, man, and I appreciate your time. I know you jumped on this pod at like early in the morning on a Saturday morning, and I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here, have a conversation with me, and share your journey and the things that you have going on. But ultimately, I did want to give you the opportunity now to just talk about your day to day in regards to like how you make a living for yourself. And I know that you mentioned that you work with your brother and I don't want to mix anything up. Like, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I always suggest to earn dollars if you're able to live here. So working remote, there's a few opportunities that you could go through. A lot of them are either sales, tech, or customer service. So they're always hiring for people to work remote in those specific areas. So if you're looking for something remote, that's something that you could more than likely find. I've been blessed, thankfully, that I'm working with my brother at Square Tax, being able to take care of a few customers with bookkeeping, with taxes, and financial planning. And then we also do the short-term rentals. So we do have a few different locations here in Punta Cana that we're able to kind of rent out. We have some personal clients that we take care of in Jersey.
Mm,
So these are all places that kind of help us, with our day-to-day expenses, right? Our rent, our food and stuff. And then I was in sales for many years, so we have some money from there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much how you're able to sustain and living abroad, have something that you're able to do remotely. Earning dollars here is highly advised. Like definitely
yeah, yeah,
don't try to come here and look for a job because the opportunities are not as abundant, and it's tough. It's tough. A lot of people don't get paid what you think they would be getting paid. It's hard to find a good paying job out here. But that's how I'm able to kind of live how I'm living. I'm not rich by any stretch of the means. We're still grinding. We're still hustling. And we're still working hard, as a family, right? So that's what I would suggest. And that's pretty much how I handle my day to day.
dope, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I have a buddy of mine who right now he's moving out to, I think, the Philippines for a couple months, and he's gonna work remote from out there.
Nice.
And that's one thing that I'm always like, damn, dog, why couldn't I be in my 20s, early 20s in this era right now? Because I would
Fact.
not be here.
It's God's timing, man.
I
God's time
would
is never wrong.
Yeah, I was like, I would not be here. And then the last thing you could touch on too, if you'd like, the CPA. I know you mentioned that you guys work with a higher potential clientele. Like, what does that look like if somebody was interested in any of the things that you've mentioned? Can they reach out for any of the services?
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you giving me the platform for this because this is something that we've been pushing for, again, over 10 years, offering high quality services for businesses, mainly, doing tax prep, being able to kind of advise on how to operate a business from financial planning to bank statements to how to use expenses and how to really manage your business in a certain way that's going to benefit you with your tax benefits. So if
Mm,
you're a business that you're really looking to elevate your financials, looking to have more revenue, be able to take advantage of tax planning, I haven't seen anybody better than my brother. Of course, he's my brother, so I'm going to say those things, but
yeah, yeah,
the proof is in the pudding, right? We've been in business for over 10 years and we're dealing with multi-million dollar businesses. We're working with different businesses all over New York City and New Jersey, high earning businesses. And that's where we're looking to focus. So anybody needs to reach out. Definitely feel free to reach out to me online, ace_IOD, my brother as well. Could definitely connect those dots. But the quickest way, you could always reach out to me and I'll connect the dots.
nice, awesome. And then one more time, the name of the business that you guys
Square
have.
Tax LLC.
Squint. Amazing, amazing. Awesome stuff, man. Well, you guys heard him. If you guys need any assistance on that end, please reach out. Ace, thank you so much for being on the pod today, man. I appreciate you. Much love to you and the family. Like I said, I admire everything you're doing, man. You got my support as an onlooker on this side. And I'll share your stuff and your journey. I love it, man. And it's truly a privilege to have you on. to share your journey and all that stuff. So thank you for being on here. And yeah, man, more to come.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, as soon as they're built, I'm coming back on. We'll be
Yes.
here, telling you more stories. So
Hey, maybe
definitely
we'll
appreciate it. It's
shoot
the first of many, brother, for sure.
part two at the
The
villa.
second one
You know what I'm
on
saying?
location. That's a
Yeah,
fact. Yes,
to
sir.
show that we serious about this right here.